The rain tapped softly against the cafe window as Emily sat alone at the corner table, nervously twisting the silver ring on her finger. The soft hum of conversations around her did nothing to calm her racing heart. She had checked her phone at least a dozen times, rehearsing lines in her head, wondering what she would say, how she should smile, and if her dress was too plain. Her palms were slightly sweaty, her throat dry. It wasn't just any blind date. It was her first in years after losing her confidence, after being made to believe she wasn't good enough. She wasn't sure if she was ready to trust again, or to open the parts of her heart she had carefully locked away. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and real love stories that begin in the most unexpected ways, then don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. It truly means the world. Emily had always been shy, quiet, and cautious. Life had made her that way. She worked long hours at a bookstore, the kind of job that paid just enough to keep the lights on, but never enough to dream bigger. The people who came and went in her life had left her feeling small, invisible, as if she didn't belong in the world of bold voices and sparkling laughter. Her friends had set up this blind date, saying, "You need to live again, Em. You deserve to be happy." But sitting there, she wasn't sure if happiness was something she could still find. The clock on the wall ticked toward 7. Every second stretched longer. Her mind wandered. What if he didn't show up? What if he took one look at her and regretted coming? She took a deep breath and stared out the window, trying to hide her disappointment. Then a shadow fell across the table. She looked up, and her breath caught. A tall man stood there, drenched slightly from the rain, his dark hair slicked back, his coat folded over one arm. His eyes, deep gray and steady, searched hers for a moment before he smiled. A gentle, almost disarming smile that felt like warmth after a storm. "Emily?" he said softly. She nodded, barely able to speak. He pulled out the chair and sat across from her, apologizing for being late, his tone calm and sincere. As they spoke, Emily realized there was something different about him. He didn't check his phone even once. He wasn't scanning the room or trying to impress her with stories. Instead, he asked questions. About her, her favorite books, her childhood dreams, the reason she loved quiet cafes. His presence was grounding, kind, and strangely familiar, like a song she didn't know she'd missed until she heard it again. His name was Daniel. What Emily didn't know, not yet, was that Daniel was the CEO of a large publishing company, one that had made millions through best-selling authors and global deals. But tonight, he wasn't that man. He wasn't the powerful executive with meetings and deadlines. He was simply a man who wanted to listen, to understand someone beyond the glossy surfaces the world admired. The date went better than Emily had imagined. She laughed, something she hadn't done freely in a long time. Daniel made her forget where she was, who she wasn't, and reminded her of something she had buried long ago: her worth. When she spoke about the bookstore, he listened like every word mattered. When she mentioned her late mother's favorite poem, he smiled and said it was one of his, too. Hours passed unnoticed until the cafe lights dimmed. When they walked outside, the rain had stopped, but the air was still heavy with its scent. Daniel walked her to the bus stop, holding an umbrella above them. She thought he would just say goodbye, like most polite men would. But before leaving, he looked at her and said, "Emily, thank you for reminding me what real conversation feels like." Those words stayed with her. Days passed, then a week. Emily didn't hear from Daniel and assumed that was it. Maybe it was just one beautiful night that wasn't meant to repeat. She tried not to think about it too much, though every time she saw the rain, she remembered his smile. Then one morning at the bookstore, her manager told her a man had come by earlier and left something for her. It was a white envelope with her name written in perfect, careful handwriting. Inside was a letter. It read, "Emily, I didn't want to disturb your workday, But I wanted to say that meeting you reminded me that kindness still exists in a world where it's rare. You spoke with your heart, not your ego. If you ever want to see me again, I'd be honored to take you out. Not as a blind date, but as someone who truly admires who you are." At the bottom, he had signed, Daniel Whitmore. Her eyes widened. The name sounded familiar, so familiar that she searched it later that night. Her heart skipped when she found out. Daniel Whitmore wasn't just anyone. He was the Daniel Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Publishing, the same company whose logo was printed on many books she sold every day. For a moment, she froze. Why would someone like him be interested in her? She was just a simple bookstore clerk who barely made ends meet. She didn't reply immediately. For 2 whole days, she kept the letter under her pillow, unsure of what to do. Her insecurities screamed louder than her heart. "He'll realize you're not enough," her mind whispered. "He'll regret it." But on the 3rd day, as she was shelving books, she noticed a new delivery. Boxes of novels, all from Whitmore Publishing. On top of one box was a note, stuck with a paperclip. It read, "If you ever want to believe you're special again, look at the stories you love. They all start with someone taking a chance." Emily laughed softly, tears forming in her eyes. That night, she wrote him back. Their second meeting wasn't in a café, but at a small park near the bookstore. He arrived early, waiting on a bench with 2 coffees and that same gentle smile. This time, she felt less nervous. They walked, talked, and shared pieces of their past. Daniel opened up about his loneliness, how success had come with emptiness, how everyone around him wanted something from him, not for him. Emily listened, and without meaning to, her quiet presence filled a space in his heart he hadn't realized was empty. Over the next few weeks, their meetings became routine. They would grab coffee, visit bookstores, and even volunteer together at a small library that was reopening. Daniel began to notice little things. The way Emily's eyes lit up when she spoke about books, how she always tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous, how she thanked the barista every single time. And Emily began to notice how Daniel, despite his status, treated everyone with gentle respect, from janitors to waiters. But not everyone understood their bond. When a photo of them together surfaced online, the CEO and the plain girl from a bookstore, people talked. Comments poured in, filled with judgment and disbelief. Emily read some of them by accident, and the words cut deep. "She's not his type. Probably after his money. He'll drop her soon." She felt old fears creeping back. That night, she didn't answer Daniel's calls. She stayed home, crying quietly, wondering if she had been foolish to think she belonged in his world. The next morning, she went to work early, trying to lose herself in the comfort of familiar pages. Around noon, the bookstore door opened, and the usual quiet buzz turned into whispers. Daniel had walked in, not in a suit, not with his assistant, just in a simple gray sweater and jeans, holding a single book. He walked straight to her counter, placed the book down, and said, "You once told me this story made you believe in love again." It was a copy of Pride and Prejudice. Inside the front cover, he had written, "For Emily, who reminds me that real love doesn't care who you are, but who you choose to be kind to." The customers in the store watched silently. Emily looked up, her eyes brimming with tears. Daniel smiled, unbothered by the crowd or the whispers. "If the world can't understand this," he said softly, "that's the world's problem, not ours." That moment changed everything. The courage in his eyes made Emily realize she had been seeing herself through the world's judgment, not her own worth. For the first time in years, she stood tall, smiled, and said thank you. Not just to him, but to herself, for believing again. Months later, the bookstore held a small event sponsored by Whitmore Publishing. It wasn't just for promotion, but for supporting independent authors and small dreamers like Emily. Daniel made sure her store was at the center of it all. When asked by a reporter why he chose this place, Daniel simply said, "Because this is where I found someone who reminded me that real stories and real love start quietly, humbly, and truthfully." As the event ended, Emily stood outside under the warm evening light, watching children laugh and people carry books with smiles. Daniel came up beside her, slipped his hand into hers, and said, "You were nervous that first night, remember?" She nodded, laughing softly. "Yes, but you made me feel like I belonged." He smiled. "You always did." If this story touched your heart or reminded you that kindness and love still exist in this world, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps spread more real, emotional, and inspiring stories like this one. Special request: comment below. Do you believe that sometimes love finds you when you finally stop running from yourself? And as the lights of the bookstore glowed behind them, Emily realized something simple yet powerful. Sometimes, the right person doesn't just make you feel loved, they make you feel seen. And that, she thought, was the most special feeling of all.